Okay, so our Rube Goldberg challenge was to make like a simple, like something simple. So for example, for our challenge, we have to lift a flag 20 centimeters off the ground and knock a ping pong ball into a cup. So you try to do a simple task like that and make it as challenging as possible. So for this, we are writing essays about our process and how we did it. So we started by, we had to write our introduction first about how our first thoughts were, where we thought we were going, and to hook the readers who Rube really was and what his task really was. And he like made comics and stuff that about the simple task making them complex. So how we kind of use technology through this is, as we were doing this, we take videos and stuff about our process throughout and how our ideas kind of changed and how it worked. And so in the end, we're writing a full essay about our procedure, our stuck points and mistakes, and how in the end it came to our conclusion about how our final process, how it worked, and if it was successful and stuff like similar to that. So pretty much our whole process on how we built the machine and where we struggled and how we got over it.
I'm fine with that as your thesis. Already 3 classes.
Yeah.
Okay, this from my group is plan A2. That really does start to talk about your procedure. Yeah.
So should I
So
take
put
that out?
yeah. So just move that into that and turn into steps.
And you're using Google Docs to do that?
Yeah, we're using Google Docs and then we are uploading that to Schoology as a separate section. So the Google Docs, all our introduction, procedure, and conclusion is all in the same doc, but we are uploading it in separate sections. So when we do our introduction, we upload that into Schoology as the introduction part of the Rube Goldberg, and we have to get at least a 3 or above out of 4 to be able to move on to the procedure. So then after a procedure, it's the same thing to continue on to make our conclusion.
So just a really quick snippet about what we're using, how we're using Schoology to sort of make sure that students are proficient in one aspect before they move on to another aspect in this writing assignment that we're doing. We're doing an essay, procedural essay for our Rube Goldberg assignment. And so we had this brainstorm in our early release day, professional development day, to somehow find a system that would allow us to ensure that one part of that essay was done correctly before they moved on to another one. So that we really, as we got to the end product, it was really, it all written itself. And so we came up with this idea of using the student completion process in Schoology. And we pulled it really quickly in that ERD day and came up with 3 different gates that students had to get through in their essay. The first was an introductory paragraph, and they had to score a 3 out of 4 or better on the rubric in order to pass to the procedural part of the essay. And so students wrote their first draft, we looked at them, we scored them. If they needed additional revisions, they got feedback and they'd have to resubmit. If they were okay, they could pass to the next gate. Right now we're currently working on the procedure aspect of it. There's some criteria in that procedure, and we'll be looking at those shortly. And if they, again, pass the criteria, they can work on their conclusions tomorrow. If not, they're going to have to go back and revise their procedures until they're right. And I think even though it might take a little bit longer to get things done, in the end product should be a really well done essay. Be able to explain what happened.
Okay. So you should like the murder one down the ring. Okay.
Yeah. Not, I put 4 pieces of duct tape on the cardboard. That's not important, but it is important to know how. Okay. Okay? Does that make sense?
And you're collaborating with the language arts teacher, with
Yes.
Jackie, to
Yeah,
do that?
actually, I think we're doing it all across the whole middle school, or the 8th grade. But yeah, Jackie and I were the ones that set it up initially.
Good, because in the past, or even in the regular Schoology, the assignment would have just been given and everyone would have turned them in without that sort of personal completion stuff, right?
Absolutely. It would have been, here's your final assignment. We're going to get a final essay. We would look at all of it. A lot of feedback would go back and maybe a chance for a revision. But in this case, it's really nice in that it's a much smaller chunk that we have to read, and it's a much smaller chunk that students have to revise and think about. I think that feedback becomes more meaningful at that point, and they can really focus in on that one specific part of the essay.
We are all taking separate videos on our own iPads and uploading them separately, but we can use each other as resources to like build our procedures, and like if we are missing some topics that we don't feel like comfortable about, then we can ask our partner for help, but we are uploading them as separate talks. Yeah, it'll help me if I look back for the part on the conclusion about how I got over my stuck points and where we went wrong and how we fixed it, but I haven't quite looked back at the videos yet because I'm not at that step of how I got over my stuck points.
Cool. Great, thank you.
The basket will drop, raising the flag more than 20 centimeters, and basket will drop, raising the flag more than 20 centimeters. When the basket hits the ground, it will place the ping pong ball that is duct taped to the bottom of it into the Dixie cup sitting on the ground below, period. Well, I'm just using this theory speed, because like it's the button right there, and then I like that because it's actually really accurate after it kind of gets to know your voice, and if you just speak slow, it works really well, and it works in pretty much all apps. So right now I'm in Google Docs.
Excellent, so then in the doc itself you can go and revise and take a look to make sure that it's accurate. Yeah. Cool, thanks.
Well, right now we're doing a science English paper on the Rube Goldberg machines. They're creating procedure essays. And working through Schoology, we actually set up gates, so they have to pass the introduction before they can move on to writing their materials list and their procedures. So they're revising them and then sending us revisions, which is a really cool option on Schoology that I didn't know about, that you can keep sending revised submissions. So as they finish revising, they're telling me, and then I'm at my computer checking them and then giving them a higher grade if they've done all they needed to do so that they can move to the next gate, which is really awesome. I also can see the revisions that came before it. They're all neatly organized in the system, so I can go back and see what they did first, the second time they did it, how they changed it, and then the third time. And they can also communicate with me easier through Schoology, because they can write me notes on there. I can write them notes back. When we're in the classroom like this, it's pretty easy for them just to say I've edited it, so you can go look at it. But like last night, I ended up getting a lot of them after 9 o'clock, which is amazing, but I got a lot of revisions, and they can communicate with me much easier through Schoology. Yes.